goddamn mad, Diane. He's goddamn mad.
You're like their number one favorite guy. Because you won them cash.
Well, here we are, the final tour report of the 2021 PGA Tour season. And this week, it's the grand finale of the playoffs, the Tour Championship at East Lake in Atlanta. I'm Diane Knox. And, well, Steve Elkington is back after you were away gallivanting in New York last week. But we have you. And Jay Kaplan. We're going to let Jay come in for the entirety of the show again, since he did such a good job last week.
Diane, you're going to let me in? You keep saying that week after week, like you're doing me a favor. I think I feel like I'm earning my way in. Elk, throw me a bone on this one.
Well, the bone I'm going to throw you, Jay, is normally we would scour over all kind of statistics for this week. We would look who's driving it good. We would look who's chipping good. All that is this is what I think of the stats this week. Because yesterday, my friends, Patrick Cantlay put a skewer through the FedExCup by beating Bryson DeChambeau in a dramatic 6-hole playoff. But the guy now has handicapped himself into this field in a very unusual way that I would like to discuss this week.
Okay, I thought you were going to say he put a skewer through the heart of Bryson, because really it kind of came down to that. We had an epic playoff. I think watching it, it was the best tournament that we have had the privilege of watching this season. I mean, we've had some great playoffs, and I think back to Harris English and Kramer Hickok at the Travelers. It was like that on steroids. We had Cantlay and Bryson, and it was like pound for pound, what a battle. But Patrick Cantlay, nerves of steel, and the putting performance that we saw from him, Elk, is one of the greatest that we've maybe ever seen.
Yeah, it was I don't want to go too deep into the contrast of style of play, because let's face it, Cantlay still hits the ball like 300 yards off the tee. And, of course, Bryson was in full flight yesterday, hitting these 350-yard drives. Sam and I were just laughing at one another when he was hitting these drives. But Bryson, the way it turned out, had lots of chances to win this tournament, was not able to capitalize in the putter. And on the same hand, Cantlay was able to make every putt coming down the stretch to stay in it until finally he got one chance on 18 to get in first, and he did it. And he flipped the scene, Diane. And honestly, it's changed everything, because after all that, there was one thing exposed by Bryson DeChambeau's game, and that is he's chipping. And that is going to play into this week in our handicapping.
It seemed like he had the chip yips. We saw him putting from off the green, and when he was forced to chip, it was definitely the weakest part. I mean, it was highlighted very, very clearly. Jay, did you watch the epic playoff, and what did you think of Cantlay's rise to the top of the standings?
I don't think it's surprising. The guy's a consistently really good player. And Bryson just gets so hot. I mean, Friday, let's put it this way. If he can shoot 59 on Friday, which he had a chance to do, he wins by one. So you look back on Friday when he had a 6-foot putt for that and he misses it. Now you catapult forward into the playoff. And you're right about the playoffs this year. Sometimes they can feel anticlimactic, these playoffs, right? But every playoff, it seems like, has had a lot of drama and a lot of holes. It's not like it's one and done. I mean, these are some epic playoff event, extra time I look at it, playoff events, and it's been good. It's been an entertaining season for sure. So it's a good way to, hopefully this will be a great tournament to cap it. It usually is.
Yeah, I mean, the gasps. The Cantlay's putt on 18 in regulation, the gasp when he made it. It really was entertaining to watch. We are going to talk about both of them again, but we are on to East Lake for the Tour Championship. And, well, we're going to see the winner of the FedExCup. Now, we have to break this down a little bit. People have maybe made comments about the fact that this has always been quite a convoluted, complicated structure, and the Tour have really tried to simplify it over the past couple of years. Whether that's for the better or not, everyone's got their own opinions on it. But Elk, we're starting the week on staggered scoring. So the guy who is number one, which is Patrick Cantlay, he starts the week on 10 under par. I mean, we'll go into it and what the rest of the scores are, but as a system in general, do you like this for the final event of the season?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm focused on just trying to explain it to you and everyone else today. As you just said, Patrick Cantlay was rewarded for all of his good play all year. He starts this week at -10 on the board. And the guy who just snuck in at the 30th place, he starts on even par. So to make the whole thing a lot easier, I pretend that we're getting ready on Thursday to play round 2 of an event. It's a 5-round event. Patrick Cantlay has shot 10 under the first day, Finau 8, and so on down the list, and we'll go through it. And that's the way we're going to think about it.
Okay, so I mean, if we look at the top of the leaderboard, so as we said, Cantlay is number 1 in the FedExCup standings. He's starting on 10 under par. Tony Finau, who's second in the standings, is starting 8 under. Bryson's starting on 7 under. John Ram on 6 under. And Cam Smith on 5 under. Then the rest of the field is divided up, starting on 4 under, 3 under, 2 under, 1 under. And then we have the guys on even par who are from number 26 to number 30 in the standings. Looking at the bottom section of the leaderboard and knowing what those guys would have to do to get anywhere near the top, you almost think it's a foregone conclusion that the guys in the top section are going to win. However, we do have some guys in the past that we're going to talk about who have started lower down, who have made big moves to really get themselves into contention.
Yeah, not a lot of them. You're going to highlight one in particular that's done very well on this course. But let's face it, I am going to handicap the handicap system. Yes. And how do I do that? Well, I believe this week, Diane, that Patrick Cantlay is coming into the event at -10. He's number 1 in putting. He just blitzed the field in putting. He's number 1 in up and down game. Does anyone believe that Patrick Cantlay won't finish? We did this in pre, but I may add one more. I'm going with 19 under. So he's going to shoot. All he has to do is shoot 9 more under to be final, 19 under to win the FedEx Cup. I'm challenging you two to tell me that someone else can shoot enough to get up to 19 under. But I've got Patrick Cantlay for a reason. Mm-hmm. Emotionally, he's just gone through an incredible win in the playoff, but his putting is so good and his chipping is so good. Bryson DeChambeau, not so much. I've kind of faded him out of my picture. I was strong on him. I was strong on John Rahm. But now, as I said in the opener, he has skewered the FedEx Cup. He's putting so good, driving it so good, playing just a man's game, and I just don't see how he will not finish 19 under or better. So give me your argument to come get that.
We're already into this. I love it. I mean, we're not holding back. One thing I will say about this, just as a layman watching these, anytime I have to do math, it hurts my brain. And I feel like this event requires me to do math. So it's like I want to walk out, cut class, go smoke something in the bathroom, come back and keep looking at my watch until the day is over. There's also another tournament going on within the FedEx Cup. There's an overall winner that nobody cares about. This is like the least celebrated champion who walks away with playing 4 great rounds of golf over the weekend. I know we know who won it last year, but if you could tell me who won it the last 5 years, I'd be amazed as far as who wins the actual tour championship. It's going to be a good finish. I'm not a huge fan of the staggered scoring, but it is what it is. So, Diane, we've just been challenged by Elk.
I know.
Right. Which isn't unusual. He usually tries to throw the gauntlet down pretty early in our phone calls. He's already bumped up the scoring by 1, so now it's 19 under. So now I got to go, where can I get another?
Before you go, let's just recap for just a second. this particular show last year, Dustin Johnson also started this week at -10. He was the leader. He shot 11 under and finished -21 and took home all the hardware. Okay, he took home the $15 million. So I'm not even positioning Cantlay, which will be impossible for you to believe it. Cantlay is playing so well. I've even positioned him 2 strokes less than Dustin Johnson did last year with a 10-shot lead. So I'm just sitting there at 19 under. I don't think either one of you got a shot at coming at me, but I'm ready to hear it.
Well, the year before when Rory won, he was on 18 under. So 19, we're meeting in the middle a little bit. As you say, Dustin Johnson winning last year, and he started on 10 under par. So finished on 21 under. You look at the guys below him. Justin Thomas finished on 18 under par, tied with Xander Schauffele. Justin had started on -7. Xander had started on -3. And when you look at the guy that would have won the tournament, if we were just looking at everyone starting on even par at the start of the week, it would have been Xander. But there's a great example of someone being a little bit further down the starting scores and being able to really jump up with exceptional play. So if we're looking at that 19 under, it makes it all a little bit more attainable.
Before you tell me your score, and I've ripped up all my stats, but I've pretty much got everyone that's 3 or 4 under start in the staggered start to get to 19. That's 16 under. They at 3 under. They got to shoot 4 rounds of 4 under to get to where I think Cantlay. So I'm kind of putting them. They're out. They're out of my thinking. So there's a handful of guys that I really believe, and I know you do too. You think can win the whole FedEx Cup.
And the 15 mil. Right, so on the show this week, this is how we're going to do it. We're each going to give you our overall winner of the FedEx Cup. But we're also going to talk about a guy that we believe is going to make jumps up from that kind of lower tier. So we're each going to give you 2 names this week on our tour report for the Tour Championship.
Compete against your friends on PGA Tour events. Win cash and bragging rights. Test your golf knowledge. Experience the success and failure of PGA Tour players. SG Tour app is an engaging golf experience designed by professional golfers that created a variety of games, including single and multi-day games, as well as tournament-long contests. It's really simple. Join or create a game. Pick 4 players and win cash. You can even immerse yourself in interactive features, including course strategy, putt predictor, and daily content exclusively from PGA Tour players. The word is out and golf fans are catching on. So don't miss out. Download the SG Tour app now.
This is the Tour Report from Secret Golf, and well, we're on to the Tour Championship. Come Sunday, we are going to have a winner of the FedEx Cup and of a very sweet $15 million. Somebody is going to win $15 million for playing 4 rounds of golf. I mean, we have the whole season. It's an exceptionally insane amount of money, Elk.
There's no doubt. Perspective for me, I think I played 560 events and I won 15 million approximately for my whole career. So I wish I was at East Lake. But East Lake is a tremendous venue for this event, Diane. Past 70, we move now back down into the south part of the country where it's Bermuda grass, a little bit trickier around the greens. But the reason I threw out all the stats, Diane, is I'm looking at race cars now. I'm looking at guys that are driving Ferraris up front. When you're talking about Bryson, Rahm, Finau, Cantlay, all these guys there, I don't care about stats. They're playing good golf. They're in the moment. We saw that yesterday with the 2 in the playoff. They were in the moment. I'd never seen Bryson just make a decision and pull the trigger. I actually think having that new caddy for him is better than the old one because they don't go through all the stuff. And Bryson was hitting the ball great off the tee, and his putting has improved as far as his routine. He gets right up to it and does it. So I'm not too worried, to be honest with you, because I only think there's about 5 people in this tournament.
Okay. As you say, talking about East Lake, I mean, last week, Caves Valley, it was a birdie fest, and we expected it to be that way. East Lake is going to be a very different story. As you say, it's all Bermuda grass. 7,400 yards there or thereabouts, and par 70. The fairways are tricky to hit. I mean, looking at last year, I think it was just over 55% of fairways hit. And when you have a stat like that, that obviously takes down the greens in regulation percentage, those Donald Ross greens again, Elk. So it's going to be, again, picking your target on the green.
Yeah, the guys that are striking the ball best will play well at East Lake. I mean, we've seen Rory, we've seen, Dustin Johnson we saw last year, Billy Horschel. They have tremendous ball striking weeks. And as I say, there's a handful of guys in this field, Diane, that are basically playing really well right now. And we're going to talk about them, and it's going to be no surprise who they are.
Okay. Right. So let's each start by talking about who we think our eventual overall winner is going to be. And Jay, we'll let you go first.
Wow. Thanks. Put the pressure on early. So my pick is a guy, Diane, that for some reason you have an issue with. And I'd even go back to Elk criticizing this guy at one. Well, I don't know if criticizing might be a bit strong, but really questioning whether this guy had the mettle to close out tournaments. He's one of the best players going on tour. He proves it year in and year out. He actually comes in ranked second this week. So he's going to start at 8 under. So I know he can get to the number that Elk spoke of earlier. And here's what I like about this guy. He finally got a victory under his belt just 2 weeks ago. That was a big victory for him. And hopefully that shakes off maybe that monkey that he felt was on his back that people like YouTube place on him. So now he's in this upper echelon. What a great way to finally put the nail in the coffin to the criticism that he's had to withstand for a few years by winning 15 mil, putting it in the bank. And I was looking through his results. He's had a great season. That's why he is where he is. 3 top 10s in the majors. He's got that victory. He's got a couple playoff wins. I think he's got 8 total top 10s this year. So it should be no surprise when the long-hitting, slender, lanky, one of my favorites now, just because you guys have some kind of issue with him. I'm going with my man, Tony Finau, to capture the FedEx Cup.
So starting at -8, you believe that he'll get to 20, which is 12 under, 4 under, 3 under each day. I mean, I'm not criticizing Finau. I think it's key to note that the next questions that Finau will be fielding will be, when is he going to win a major? And when you're so good, you do get asked a lot of questions. But don't forget, Jay, he just nailed his first win, and Cantlay, of course, just nailed his 3rd this season. So I appreciate your pick. It's Finau certainly has a chance of doing exactly what you spoke of. He absolutely has a chance. The weakest link in his bag is the putting, but you know what? It looks to me like he swept that aside with that 6-footer he made to win at Liberty National, or to get into a playoff later with Cam Smith, and then Cam had a bad last hole. Good for Tony Finau, though.
Good for
and he's coming off a 63 yesterday, so I feel like
that too.
Good
Overshadowed, of course, by the show up front or in the back.
And all I was saying, Jay, is that I was just rooting for Cam Smith last week.
I didn't take it that way. Neither did Tony. He sent me a postcard that said, I'll have my answer at East Lake.
Elk agrees with me, Team Australia. He'll be happy with my allegiance to Cam. Anyway, right, I will go next with my pick. And Elk, I know that you and I are a little bit in the same camp with this one too, but I did say weeks ago that he was going to be my pick to win the FedEx Cup at the very start of the playoffs. He's starting on 6 under, so 4 shots behind Cantlay, but Jon Rahm is my guy. Now, we know that he is one of the world's greatest players. He is an incredible ball striker. Some of the things that we've seen Jon Rahm do on a golf course, especially the latter part of this season, have completely blown us away. Obviously he got his first major victory at the US Open, 3rd place finish at the Open Championship. I mean, even at the Northern Trust finishing third. And really, he's been in contention, I feel like, every single time he tees it up. He had that whole mishap at Memorial in that we knew that he was going to go on and win that tournament, and then he was dealt that horrible hand of COVID. And with testing positive again just a couple of weeks later, it was a very strange time for him, but he got some of his greatest golfing accomplishments of the year and of his career achieved in that time. So I just think it would be the icing on the cake for what's been such a strange year for Jon Rahm to go and win the FedEx Cup, and starting only 4 shots back. You know, it's not like he has a huge amount of ground to make up. And I think if anyone can do it, it's going to be him.
Well, you're right. I mean, I could sit here and make an argument for Jon Rahm myself. I love the guy. He's had COVID about 6 times this year, it seems like. He wants it very badly. He doesn't like the format at all. He expressed that last week. He's going to have to play very well. The only thing I noticed, the reason I soured off Rahm this week and didn't take him as mine with you, was he's starting to hit a couple of loose pitch shots. When he gets out of position, I saw him hit a couple of very loose pitch shots at Liberty National from right in front of the green, 20 feet by. I saw him again do it this week and just sort of stood there and scratched his head. And I've got to think, Diane, that you said -6, so he's got to get to 20. That's 14. The record around this course is Schauffele at 15. Will he beat the record? It's a push. It's a push. I like where I'm at Cantlay at the moment.
Okay, well, you just gave it away. So you're thinking that we're going to have a repeat of what happened last year with DJ, that the guy that's at number 1, starting on 10 under par, is going to go on and win.
That's my thinking, and no one's proved me thus far that you've got a big enough argument to come over the top on me yet with you 2 picks.
So what did you see? Obviously, we talked about Cantlay and the putter, but everything else coming together last week at the BMW Championship. What were your kind of takeaways?
The interesting thing I see about Cantlay, and I want you to watch him very closely when you see him again, is when he puts his feet down to putt, he shuffles his feet. He moves his feet forward and to the left. And I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but I'm betting he moves his feet. So he says, okay, that's too far left. Then he moves his feet back to the right. He shuffles them back. He said, that's too far right. And then he puts them somewhere in between. And he's telling himself, okay, that's the line right there. And then he makes a real smooth, sort of a long backstroke like Ben Crenshaw, and is beautiful. And he is on right now.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that actually, that the left foot, he'll always move the left foot in just a fraction before he putts. And we talk so much about the importance of the setup and the trigger and just getting very comfortable in your own head. And he said afterwards that he is just so focused and locked in, and everyone's got their own little way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's little micro alignments that he's doing with his feet.
Amazing. Right, Jay, you can't really argue too far against Cantlay right now.
He's a tough leader to try to catch. I know, Elk, we weren't going to base everything on statistics, and you crumbled up your sheet. I didn't do that. I love the data, and this guy backs it up. 14 green in regulation. If he does miss, he's the best scrambler on tour. And now he's finishing with the putter. So he is going to be hard to catch for sure. Nothing seems to bother this guy. His results warrant his spot. It's no fluke that he's sitting here at the top, but I'm not much of a front runner like you two, so I'm going to go with a guy that's kind of here below.
I like being in front, Jay. Always have.
I know you do. I like chasing in one of these. It's not too bad.
Okay, so we're picking our overall winners. Jay going for Tony Finau, who's starting on 8 under. I'm saying Jon Rahm starting on 6 under, and Elk sticking with Patrick Cantlay, who is our leader at 10 under par. Right, guys, next what we're going to do is take someone who's further down in the starting scoring, and we're going to make a case as to why we think this guy is going to make jumps up at the Tour Championship this week.
Get in the game on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app and play 4-ball. It's a classic stroke play competition based on the aggregate scores of 4 players. Who makes your team? Well, pick 4 guys, 1 from each tier based on the current World Golf rankings. Want a tip? You need 4 guys to make the cut. Get in the game on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app, available on iOS in the App Store.
So it's the big one. It's the finale of the FedEx Cup, the Tour Championship at Eastlake this week. So the 3 of us are here and we are giving you, well, our picks for who we think is going to win the FedEx Cup and that cool $15 million. But also, because the guys are starting on staggered scoring this week, we're going to look at someone from the bottom pack that's really going to have to go low all 4 days that could potentially make some jumps up. So that's coming up next. Erik, before we go any further, I have to talk about you in 1995, finishing runner-up at the Tour Championship. I mean, we know 95 was just an incredible year for you anyway, but that would have been a nice end to the season.
Yes, indeed. That was the year Annie was born. My daughter, of course, second behind that was I won the PGA and I won the Biden Trophy. But this was in Tulsa at Southern Hills, and I had a putt on the last hole. Billy Mayfair, I was paired with him, and I was putting terrible, and I finished up with a putt this long, and I thought, well, I'll just step over his line and finish this to get out of his way. And I missed this putt. And it was just so shocking. But that night I had to go to a function. I was at the bar waiting to, for my guys to come. And then the local news came on and the guy said, "Oh, and watch this, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a professional golfer that looks just like us. But this one cost him $180,000. And these 2 guys next to me at the bar said, "Oh, my God, I could do that. What an idiot. How would he do that?" And I said to them, "I can hear you over here, okay? That was this idiot right here." So it still stings, Diane, but hey, I went through about
the money and just how fruitful it is making it to the Tour Championship and in that top 30. And just for getting in the top 30, you're going to make about $400,000. You have to feel for KH Lee, who was playing amazing final round on Sunday and got to 18. And his second shot on 18, he hit completely wayward, off to the right, pitched it, didn't make it to the green, and because of that, fell out of the top 30.
I saw that, and I saw Noren, who made bogey, who was one of your picks. You predicted he would jump into the top 30. But let's be truthful about that. Lee was in the center of that fairway. We saw Bryson and Cantlay just over and over and over just pepper that flagstick. So terrible shot by Lee. Cost him 400. Cost him a spot in the Tour Championship. You can only put it down to pressure when it comes down to that shot, and he was just not able to repeat his swing one more time, as sometimes we say to ourselves when it just, come on, let's do this one more time.
But then we look at the likes of Erik van Rooyen, who's played lights out over the past couple of weeks, really the best golf of his career, and has made it all the way into the top 30. Billy Horschel making it in again yesterday, Sergio Garcia, and Patrick Reed, who's missed the last couple of weeks after being in hospital with double pneumonia, held on to that number 30 spot even after not playing, obviously, and is going to be at the Tour Championship again. So we've got a lot of good storylines going on this week, as always. Right, guys, we're going to make our picks. Someone who's a little bit further back that we think could potentially make a run at this. Jay, we'll kick off with you.
Well, I'm going to start with a guy that's really been playing his best golf here late in the season. He does have a win 3 weeks ago. Had a little blip there in the middle, and last week finished 9th. Here's a stat for you, Elk. I love this guy. He's green across the board, 6th in driving accuracy, and he's also number 1 on tour, 3-feeder in on the green. And we know you face a lot of those every tournament. So I think he's going to be able to handle the pressure, and he's going to score. His putting average at 15, his green in regulation 24. There's something about this guy. We were kind of waiting to see if he could make that leap. He did it a few weeks ago in Memphis. Now he's coming to Atlanta within shouting distance of the top. I think this is the guy that's going to make the move. I love the Mexican national, Abraham Ancer. To make it interesting, will he catch? Be tough, but I like the fact that he's playing his best golf here late in the year.
Okay.
I like Ancer a lot. He's a great player. He's established himself as one of these new guys now that have won like a Harris English. He's going to be this next wave of top players, waiting for Scotty Scheffler to join that group. My thinking, of course, is all about 19 under with Patrick Cantlay. So I'm going to talk about my pick. So my pick this week is coming from 5 under. So he's got to shoot 15 under par this week in Atlanta, which would be kind of the record as what Xander Schauffele shot last year. But who in the world gets hotter and who has more angriness inside of him than Cam Smith? Cam Smith, the Aussie, had 18 putts in 18 holes the other week in Memphis, like a world record or something. Hit a crazy shot on the 18th hole, hit a tree, went out of bounds, cost himself a fortune. Diane told me he just bought a new house in Jacksonville. He could have paid for it with that ball that hit the tree. And then, of course, he was in the playoff with your guy at Liberty National and then sprayed it out into the water there, cost himself another fortune. Would it surprise anyone that Cam Smith got hot one more big time and gathered up enough birdies with that flat stick to get to 20 under and take over Cantlay? And that is my pick this week. I'm taking the guy that has the potential to be ferociously on fire.
Okay, so as you say, Cam Smith starting at 5 under and Ancer starting at 4 under. Just like our overall winners, I'm going even further back. So I'm hoping that my guys are going to overtake your guys and just play out of their minds. And my pick is, well, this is going to come as no surprise because a lot of people are going to be watching this guy. We've mentioned him so many times in the show already. Xander Schauffele is starting at 2 under, so 8 shots off the pace before they even tee off. But I will give you my reasons why. This is his 5th Tour Championship. He's been under par in 14 of those 16 rounds. His total score to date around Eastlake is minus 49, and his scoring average is just over 67. So on this par 70 course, we're talking 3 under every day as his average. We know that he can go a lot lower than that. He's won at Eastlake before when it was all a very confusing winner of the Tour Championship, winner of the FedEx Cup. He loves this place. And last year, he made massive jumps up here as well, as we were talking about. He finished in a tie for second after starting on 3 under. So got to 18 under last year. And I think that the X-Man is another one to watch, as he is every year at the Tour Championship.
Wasn't too long ago we were talking about whether Xander could get the job done. We saw him leave it in the water at 16 at Augusta. We saw him hook it in the water at the Phoenix Open to let Brooks Koepka win. But Diane, starting at 2 under, you aren't quite possibly telling me that Xander's going to shoot 18 under around Eastlake and get past that magical number of my Cantlay at 19, are you?
Looking at the scoring average of the field around this course, if there was anyone from that bottom pack that was going to do it, it would be Xander. So I am putting my faith in him. I'm sure, of course, he wishes that he was starting a little bit higher because he knows the advantage that he's got around this course. And if he was maybe just a couple of shots higher, and I'm sure he's still going to be thinking in his head that it's attainable. I don't think he's too far back. As I said, I think if anyone can come from that far back, it is Xander.
You Diane, are the most optimistic fan of all time, Jay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said you think he wishes he was close. Of course he does. Wishes are free. You can have as many of those as you want. The fact of the matter is he's at 2 under. There's no way he's got this in him. He's got to be worn out. Nobody's played more golf in the last month than this guy, gold medal winner. And now he's in Atlanta, and he's going to have to not just stay consistent, but he's going to have to take advantage of holes that traditionally aren't going to give you a scoring opportunity if he wants to catch somebody. So he's really going to have to play out of his mind to get up there. That is a long, long distance to go to try to get up to the top.
I like it. Eternal optimist. Right. And, there are a lot of names that we haven't mentioned. Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau, Elk, I mean, after Bryson's performance at the BMW, the thing that really stands out for me is there's been so much noise around Bryson off the course, you know, all this stuff with Brooks, the comments he made about the vaccination, COVID, the Olympics, and he's still playing the way that he played at the BMW Championship. So, I mean, it's kind of wrong of us not to include him in there somewhere.
Well, we've omitted him from, at least I've admitted him from my lineup this week, thinking-wise, Diane. Yes, but Bryson's always been a tremendous champion golfer. He was an NCAA champion. He won the U.S. Amateur. He won the U.S. Open. Now he's sort of added a bunch of length, but he's always been a champion player. The reason I don't have him up this week in my thinking, Diane, is he's chipping very poorly right now. He avoided it as much as he could. You noted that already in the show. But he's going to miss 4 or 5 greens a day around East Lake. And this 2 to 3 inch Bermuda rough is going to be very nasty. And if you're not chipping well, you're going to miss 5 greens a day. That's 20 greens over 4 days. How many times do you think Bryson can get up and down out of 20? And do you think he can get to 20 under to beat Cantlay? I'm saying until he gets this thing organized with his chipping, because he's always the book on Bryson on our tour is you can't beat him if he's hitting all the greens, if he's hitting it like he was yesterday. Mm-hmm. But if he starts missing greens, then everything falls apart, because he's playing with a sand wedge the length of a 6-iron. I went and got my 6-iron yesterday just to see what it felt like. That'd be it. Take your 6-iron and imagine having 60 degrees on your 6-iron and try to organize that around the green. It's very difficult to see how that's going to work for me.
Well, we have a lot of names, and the likes of Rory, maybe a little bit too late in that even after that great 4th place finish at the BMW, he's starting on 2 under. So could be a little bit far back for him. But as always, we're going to have a lot of strong storylines at the Tour Championship to end the season. Right, guys, thank you very much. And we're wrapping up what's been another incredible season on the PGA Tour with some phenomenal winners. And we'll see who gets it done and takes home the 15 million.